What's going on, everyone? NoZoupForYou here, and today's going to be a fun day, an exciting video. We're going to talk statistics, primarily daily average players and current trends in World of Warships. I usually do this every so often. I try to do it at least once a year, my little, I'll call it World of Warships State of the Game. And it's nice to look at, how many players we're gaining or losing, and it's important as well. It's important to look at the health of the game. So we're going to do that today. First, as always, got a shout out to a new Patreon member, Cremoa. Thanks for joining up. Thanks for being with me and with us, the rest of us. And also, what you're watching right now, the beginning of a game that I recently played in Des Moines, and I'm going to be honest, this is the third round, only the third round of non-test ships I've played in several weeks. It might be at least 3 weeks. I just haven't had time for non-test ships. This is the third of those rounds in the non-test ships, aside from streaming 2 weeks ago. I guess I did forget about that, but playing solo by myself, this is the first in a while. So I had 2 rounds in Georgia and this round in Des Moines, which was pretty close game, a nail biter, and I'm proud of how I did in this round, particularly. It's always nice not being able to play a lot and coming back and topping the leaderboard, so I'm quite proud of that. And you can see right now I've taken up somewhat of a defensive posture by using the smoke of this Minotaur that I kind of lurched onto and stuck to. So this is going to work out for me for a while, and I'm going to let this play in the background. Might commentate on it here and there, but we're going to talk about the current trends of World Warships and the state of World of Warships right now. And the data you're about to see. This was compiled by one of my fellow North America CCs, Sea Raptor. He took some data that was just released to everyone, and he compiled it in a very nice and easy to read graph. That's what you're seeing right now. So thank you, Sea Raptor. And for those of you who don't know Sea Raptor, he does YouTube, he does Twitch. Please check him out. Great overall guy. Puts out good content. He's a little older than I am, so he appeals to us middle-aged adults, I guess. Maybe even a tad older, but we won't hold that against him. But no, he's really professional. Got a great smooth as butter type of voice. Just a pleasure to listen to. Pleasure to watch his analysis. So I'm going to throw the link up to Sea Raptor's YouTube and Twitch in the description of this video. And once again, Sea Raptor, thank you for compiling this. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. And I think there's this perception from a lot of players right now that World of Warships is hurting. And you wouldn't be wrong to think that, and I wouldn't begrudge you to think that, because the game has been out for 5 years now. I mean, almost 5 years. Well, technically it's been out longer. 5 years since the quote-unquote launch, though, since when it went gold. And I remember when that happened because I was there for the party, and that was at TwitchCon, when TwitchCon first started back in 2015. Obviously, World of Warships was a beta before that, so it's been out for a while. It's been around the block. Any other game out there that's been out for 5 years, save for a very select few, will lose the vast majority of its player base. Any game out there, I don't care what it is. You look at a game like Battlefield 1, their player base has dwindled because Battlefield 5's out. But free-to-play games obviously are different. And World of Warships is still surviving. World of Warships is actually doing better than most would probably think it's doing. It's not all sunshine and roses, though. And we get to that. There have been some losses in player base in some places. But overall, the game is healthy. I'm just going to come out and say that right away. World of Warships is healthy right now. And anyone telling you that the game is not healthy, or the game's dying, or, it's not going to last much longer, they're just spreading doom and gloom for no reason. Because overall, for a 5-year-old game, 5-year-plus game, I'm actually quite impressed how World of Warships is doing. So let's get to the raw stats and some numbers right now. So we're going to start with North America because that's my home turf, and I love North America, and that's the only server I play on. Interestingly enough, North America definitely does not have the largest player base. And that's no surprise, we've known this for quite some time. North America, out of all the regions, is the only one that has actually grown its daily average player amount. It started back in the third quarter of 2015 when these stats were gathered with 7,400 average daily players. And right now, well, not exactly right now because the stats don't go up to today, we're looking at the fourth quarter of 2019. North America stands at 8,468. So while it's not a large gain, I mean, we're only talking about 1,000 daily average players. It's a gain nonetheless. And I think that we can attribute this to the Let's Battle tour. Or Anchors Away as it's called now. I really think that that is the reason why North America continues to grow in its player base. It just gets that name recognition out there, the outreach, players getting out to these ships, learning more about it from going to these ship events and everything else. I really think that's the reason the player base has grown in North America, and the other regions don't quite have that. So, well done, North America. I'm quite pleased to be able to report that because, obviously, playing in North America, I want to see North America do good. And it's been a fairly steady growth as well. I mean, there's been a couple dips in there. Early in 2016, we've had some dips. Third quarter 2017, we had a couple dips as well. And obviously, when the carriers were introduced, every single region dipped right there. Not too significantly, but there were definite dips starting in first quarter 2019. In fact, the average daily players for North America went down about 5 to 600 in that time frame, but third quarter 2019 started shooting right back up. So overall, North America is looking strong. We'll move on to Asia right now because I find Asia to be very interesting. And Asia has decreased linearly over time. But since quarter 1 of 2019, they've actually had the most growth out of any region. With an average daily player amount of 5,800, they're now up to 7,180, and that's been constant growth from that point. Now, they've never really had any major dips. They've just been pretty steady. Starting off in third quarter 2015, right around 6,000 average daily, and they're still pretty much right at 6,000 average daily players. So not a huge loss right there. And honestly, I would say they're very close to trending up as well. Asia's very odd. It's like nothing phases them whatsoever. And Asia is the only region which carriers did not affect. And you can blame Euro for that, I guess. I don't know. We'll say he's the reason for the love of carriers in Asia. But carriers were a hit in Asia for some reason. Carriers were a huge hit over there. And you can see it in the player growth, the average daily player growth. So interesting to see that over in Asia, and they're kind of the outlier. They're just a very smooth and steady graph, whereas everyone has pretty much peaks and valleys in the exact same places. I would say North America is closer to Asia, though, in their graph, whereas the EU and Russia are almost identical. I mean, they've pretty much had the same amount of losses at the same points, and they've been much larger than both North America and Asia, though Europe hasn't been quite as pronounced, and Europe's actually leveled off since second quarter 2017. They started very strong. There was some high interest in the first quarter, and then things kind of dropped down significantly to right around 12,000. Right now they're sitting at 11,500, so again, not a huge loss whatsoever. I would say things are pretty good for them. And once again, you know, they're very close to gaining players. So after 5 years, Europe's doing well. I would say the Dark Ages, not to pull a actual time period from Great Britain, and That region, I would say the Dark Ages were second quarter of 2016, where they were at their all-time low of 10,000 daily average players. Right now, though, trending up again after the carrier. I almost called it a debacle. It really wasn't a debacle. They're back up there, and growth has been pretty steady, though it took a little longer to get there than it did to Asia and North America. But things are on the up and up. Now, I do want to talk about Russia, because Russia, out of all the regions, Russia has seen the most significant drop-off in average daily players. Huge losses there, actually. I mean, Russia started out on fire. Largest region by far. 16,000 average daily players. You know, they started off with almost 20,000. The average was 16,000. And right now, they're at 11,500. So you're looking at a 35 to 30%, 35 to 30% loss in overall average daily players. And that is absolutely huge. That's a lot of money right there. That's a lot of players they've lost. Very, very significant. So you kind of got to wonder what's going on in Russia right now, because at the moment, the EU has more average daily players than Russia. And that trend actually started back in first quarter of 2018. Actually, a little before that as well. I'll say right around late 2017, that's when the trend kind of started. So it's really bizarre what's happened to Russia, because we've always thought of them as the largest region with the most players. You know, it's pretty much the home of wargaming, St. Petersburg, and here they are just bleeding players consistently. I mean, their graph, their linear player average daily player is the only one that you can significantly see a huge drop in. I mean, if I look at the other three lines, the other three averages, if I'm looking at it sideways with kind of a slanted eye, they almost look straight. I mean, you can see North America is going up a little bit, trending up, but it's hard to tell that the others are going down. I mean, the EU is almost, horizontal. Asia has a slight drop, but that's it. So what is going on with Russia? Now, I will give it that since the third quarter of 2019, all four regions have had huge jumps. I mean, they're going right back up to first quarter 2018 levels. So things are looking very, very positive for all four regions. But when one of them's down 35% or so, that is a big, big deal. And one thing I don't think has been factored in here, I don't think right now we have the Puerto Rico effect. And that can go both ways. You know, you can look at it as maybe by some chance it didn't have a large effect, and the people complaining about it, myself and others, were just in their own little bubble, their own echo chamber, floating around the Reddit world and Facebook. And that only accounted for just a minute percentage of the actual players. You know, it's highly possible that 95% of the players saw Puerto Rico. They thought it was an awesome thing to attempt to get, even though they couldn't. And they just grinded their butts off. And the average daily numbers have gone up even more. And I would not be surprised in the least if that was the case. Not at all. Do we know if that's what has happened? We don't. You know, the numbers could have gone right back down. Right back in the other direction. We just don't know yet, because this data ends in fourth quarter 2019, where obviously you had the snowflake event. And you can see the first quarter of 2018, that snowflake event also bumped things up. Fourth quarter has always been traditionally good for wargaming and World of Warships, with the exception of the very first year. Every year thereafter, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, small bumps right around the fourth quarter because of those awesome events. And we're seeing that boost right again because people want that steel and everything else. So numbers are looking very strong right now. Average daily player numbers are right back where they were, I would say probably right around 2017, 3 years ago. For a 5-year-old game, 5-year plus if you include the closed beta testing, 6-year-old game, I mean, the numbers are really strong. Most AAA games don't retain, what, 20, close to 40,000 average daily players spread across the 4 regions. That is the sign of a strong game right there, whether we like what's happening or not. So, World of Warships is in great shape. Wargaming's in good shape with World of Warships, with the exception of Russia. And I think they're going to have to look hard and see, what's going on in Russia, which makes me wonder if the cruiser split for Russia is happening because of these numbers. And it also makes me wonder if these ships are going to be a little stronger. And if the reason Smolensk and Thunder and Kremlin were so strong were because of what's going on with Russia. And these are little carrots trying to win Russia over. I would not be surprised in the least. Is that concerning? Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, when you're putting out stronger than necessary ships to kind of placate one region, it's not really good practice. But I do think Wargaming is feeling the pinch from losing these players in Russia. And they're probably wondering why they're losing them. When now EU is doing better than Russia. North America is just consistently the same and growing slightly. And Asia is just Asia. They're just steady as a rock. So overall, the state of the game, it's pretty strong right now. 5 to 6 years on, it's strong. It's healthy. It really is. You cannot deny that it's healthy in 3 out of the 4 regions. And that's something to be happy about and excited about. So, no doom and gloom here. And I got to give props to Wargaming. As much as I've been aggravated lately, things have been looking good. So that's going to wrap up this state of World of Warships right now. And that's also going to wrap up this game that I'm having right now. And you've probably seen what's going on. A pretty good round on my part, I have to say. In the final moments of this game, I'm just going to push on this Yamato to try and get some junk time damage. Which, it's over at this point. I'm not in danger of sinking. There's one final fire with, 15 seconds left. Just trying to eke out that damage. But yeah, Wargaming and World of Warships looking strong right now. And despite my lack of playtime, I can still pull out a decent round, though it's not that hard to do in a Des Moines, I'd have to say that. And, moving on and looking at how I did there, let's see how I finished up in this round. Let's see how I finished up. And the UI is a little slow, and kind of wish we could improve that one day. But we need to make profit. So, 3 sunken ships, I'll take it. But there we go, there's the team score. There's that first place finish right there. I'll take it. And a well played round. Thank you all for watching. Take it easy. Zoop out.